All right, folks, this is some actually sad, disappointing news. The Kyle Rittenhouse witch hunt looks like it's far from over. Team Biden is clearly left unsatisfied following Kyle's full acquittal here. So what do? They look to enact their weaponized Department of Justice to go after Kyle Rittenhouse. Congressman Jerry Nadler leveled this charge, quote, "This is a heartbreaking verdict, is a miscarriage of justice, and sets a dangerous precedent which justifies, quote, federal review by DOJ. Justice cannot tolerate armed persons crossing state lines, looking for trouble while people engage in First Amendment protected protests." Let's remind you, they were burning down buildings and looting stores. A DOJ investigation on the fake grounds that an armed Kyle crossed state lines looking for trouble. Again, for the 98th time on this program and many others, he wasn't armed when he crossed state lines, and he wasn't looking for trouble. He went to prevent it. All of it amounts to continued persecution of a young man who simply defended himself from three bad dudes attacking him. Well, joining me now is Republican Congressman from Florida, Matt Gaetz is here, who's calling out Jerry Nadler for his DOJ investigation calls. Congressman, welcome.
Oh, thanks so much, Grant. In America, you're innocent until proven guilty. But to the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, it seems you're not even innocent after a jury finds you not guilty. Here we have Jerry Nadler gaslighting the Biden Department of Justice, trying to get them to institute a civil rights action against Kyle Rittenhouse, which despite double jeopardy standards and ethics could actually still occur. That would be a travesty of justice, but it reminds us of the plays we see run time and again by the political left. Governor Robinson just made mention of it earlier. When they find a circumstance where they have developed a narrative that smears someone, even in the confrontation with actual facts that dissolve that narrative, they are relentless in pursuit of a virtue signal somehow to the woketopia, and they're willing to sacrifice Kyle Rittenhouse or anyone else to be able to prove their political point. That should not happen, and the Department of Justice should not participate.
No, it shouldn't. I'm afraid, though, that it just might, knowing the Team Biden and what this Justice Department is capable of. I've said that the media should be apologizing. They're going to face lawsuits that Kyle Rittenhouse will win for defamation, calling him a white supremacist. But instead of apologizing, they double down, Congressman. I want you to listen to Tiffany Cross. You may get a kick out of this one. She's from MSNBC. Take a listen.
I find these people disgusting, Ellie. I'm disgusted at what I'm seeing. It's not just this trial, it's other trials. But this in particular, the fact that white supremacists roam the halls of Congress freely and celebrate this little murderous white supremacist, and the fact that he gets to walk the streets freely, it lets you know these people have access to instituting laws. They represent the legislative branch of this country. What are we to make of that?
Well, Congressman, she's probably talking about you. If I was a congressman, I'm sure she'd be talking about me, too.
Well, I guess when the left loses elections, when they lose outcomes before juries, their last resort is just to call everyone a white supremacist. And I think the American people are sort of tired of that. This was a case of self-defense. And in America, you ought to have self-defense rights in your own home and when engaging in lawful activities anywhere else in our country. But they always try to make it about race. This case never was about race. But, you know, that's how it happens for them when they can't take the L.
Absolutely. Let me throw up a headline, kind of switching gears, but not even, because this is about race, too. Washington Post wrote an article, MAGA squad of Trump loyalists sees influence grow amid demands for political purity among Republicans. I would agree with that headline that I love. You, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Boebert, Gosar, all of those people pushing for real conservatives. But, of course, the Washington Post means it's a growing group of white supremacists within Congress, Congressman.
Well, no less than the Washington Post is admitting that the ascendant force in politics on the right doesn't emerge from the Cheneyistas or the Adam Kinzingers. It's the MAGA team. It's those of us pursuing the America First agenda. We're not the committee chairman. We don't have the fancy titles or the corner offices, but we have a connection to the people of this country, and we will fight for them. And we need backup in Washington because frankly, we need more folks like Paul Gosar and Madison Cawthorn and Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene. And it's my expectation in the coming election, if we are worthy of the majority by nominating candidates who will embrace these America First principles, we will have the tools at our disposal to have meaningful oversight over the Biden administration. And that is what they fear most. That's why they attack Boebert, Greene, Cawthorn, Gosar, and yours truly.
Yep, it absolutely is. We stand firm with you guys on sticking firm to MAGA principles and America First principles. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you, Congressman. You have defended yourself on this program numerous times. You said you're innocent of all these allegations flying around about you. You said there was a bribery scheme to defraud you and your family. Well, lo and behold, Stephen Alford pled guilty today of a bribery scheme, $25 million scheme, to quote the Department of Justice, to defund and defraud your family. Real quick reaction, if you can, for me.
I feel equal parts vindicated and frustrated. I'm obviously pleased that people can see I've been telling the truth about Stephen Alford, but Stephen Alford wasn't acting alone. He had a co-conspirator who's a former Department of Justice official named David McGee. He had a co-conspirator who's a former intelligence officer named Bob Kent. I've got a podcast called Firebrand where I do a deep dive on these issues, and I think the Department of Justice should be pursuing everybody who attempted an extortion against my family based on a pile of lies.
Well, you've always been upfront and willing to answer questions about all of this on this program, and I urge people to take a look at this guilty plea by this guy here and start making their own decisions. The media probably is not going to agree with us, but so be it. Who cares, right? Congressman Matt Gaetz, thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Grant, and I appreciate you being one of the very first to say that this whole situation smelled fishy. You asked tough questions. I was willing to answer them, and now the truth will set us free.
Well, that's absolutely right. Matt Gaetz, thank you so much for coming on, as always.